Is Austringer the best hand cannon in Destiny PvP? Amongst legendaries, I would say so. It is one of the best, if not the best, especially in that slot. And I know there's a lot of people right now that are gonna hate me for saying this, but Austringer is everything IS Luna wishes it could be. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Austringer is a craftable weapon. And I've spent the better part of a good week playing with different enhanced roles, things like enhanced rangefinder, enhanced opening shot, enhanced Eye of the Storm, really diving into this weapon to get a feel of what feels the best here with Austringer. Now, yesterday we actually did a video breaking down flinch resist, airborne effectiveness. We even talked about hand cannons a little bit there. But so far, I'm having to reassess how I view certain weapons, because across the board, everything feels substantially worse when you jump. And that's not when you double jump. No, that's just when you're literally off the ground. Your feet comes off the ground. You're gonna have some level of RNG and some inaccuracy there with your shots. With that being said though, Austringer really does a hell of a job combating those issues, despite only having an airborne effectiveness stat of 13. Granted, you can slot on an Icarus mod still, which is an extra plus 15. And if you were to stack it with things like Lucky Pants, this would increase that even more. Overall though, today's review is gonna bring in all this drama from Sandbox. This is just purely gonna be focusing on the weapon itself. So, starting with its origin trait, it comes with the perk 2 Excess. Final blows with this weapon, while your super is full, grants a bonus to strength and discipline for a moderate duration. This is actually an increase of 20 discipline and 20 strength for 12 seconds. Again though, only while your super is full. Granted though, there's a lot of builds that can easily take advantage of this, especially if you wanted to spec those stats into other areas, which this season we definitely are. With resilience combating flinch, with certain supers having more uptime or even faster uptime, I find myself having a more even distribution of my stats between intellect, discipline, and strength. And if you have that plus 20 there, it'll just top it off. Now, it's a good chance that does not exceed the cap, so keep that in mind. Now, looking at this weapon, I am going to be comparing it to many of our other popular hand cannons. Things like Dire Promise, Cantata, Fatebringer, Palindrome, IS Luna. And across the board, the stats are similar in a lot of ways. Range, it's pretty much neck and neck with everything outside, of course, IS Luna and Palindrome being just slightly higher. Stability really only comes second to IS Luna. Handling actually came in last place, which was surprising. And as far as airborne effectiveness goes, it comes in second to that of only Palindrome, which by the way, is pretty surprising that Palindrome has such high airborne effectiveness. Like, what the hell, Bungie? Aim assist values though, it is the lowest. I mean, the absolute lowest amongst everything else. Zoom value, it pretty much falls in line with everything else. Recoil direction, you're looking at 95, which is essentially vertical, guys. These are all wonderful hand cannons. Cantata, Fatebringer, especially the time loss version, Palindrome, fantastic. Even IS Luna, even though it wasn't my favorite and I complained about it, IS Luna is still a good hand cannon. However, where Austringer starts to separate itself is in those enhanced perks, right? The first role that you're seeing me play with is actually my Eye of the Storm opening shot role. Now, two reasons why I wanted to play with this. Number one, opening shot states that it improves accuracy and range greatly on the opening shot of an attack. Now, the reason why I wanted to lean into this, considering airborne effectiveness is now an issue inside of Destiny, when you pretty much jump in the air, your shots are whiffing. Opening shots does mitigate that, or at least it was supposed to. I do like opening shot, and paired with Eye of the Storm, you almost had two different perks, both helping you in consistency. Eye of the Storm, especially the enhanced version, greatly helps you because it boosts accuracy and handling as your health got lower, but it also increases stability. And as we went over here recently, stability is tied to your flinch resistance, as well as your resilience stats and unflinching mods. The stability stat, guys, especially for my mouse and keyboard players, it's an important stat. Don't overlook it. I know in the past, we would break out a hand cannon with like one stability and be like, yo, I got this, man. You can't do that anymore, which is why any little bumps there in your stats, your stability especially, is really beneficial. Now, the second role that I wanted to play with was after I played with a normal version of Austringer with Rangefinder, and I was specifically missing the stickiness at range. I was noticing with opening shots, there was just too much damage fall off. I mean, about 31.37 meters is when you started to run into damage fall off with a 71 range stat roll. But just swapping to Rangefinder increased my range to 34.5 meters, which is quite nice. Fellas, even the most max range roll on Palindrome, which is still really good, would reach somewhere around 35.5 meters. But granted, even the max range Palindrome you don't want to go for. That full bore roll, I wouldn't suggest it because it hurts your stability as well as your handling with full bore. So the roll I actually ended up settling on, and it was working phenomenally well for me, was actually Hammerforged Rifling, Ricochet Rounds, Eye of the Storm, and Rangefinder. Again, both of those enhance, and the enhanced version of Rangefinder also grants you increased handling. And considering we just went over the fact that handling on this weapon comes in last place compared to all the other legendary hand cannons, this is a way in which you can increase that. And overall, my stats look pretty good. I mean, handling of 54, stability of 76, range of 71. And I know to most mouse and keyboard players, you're like, Cross, why? Why not full bore? Why not specking everything for range as much as you possibly can? And why not high caliber rounds? Two answers. First, high caliber rounds, tested here recently. I don't know if it was something intentional by Bungie. It's just not offering the same amount of flinch that it was before. And I actually think it may be due to the fact Bungie just had a big rework here for flinch resist, and maybe they left high caliber rounds off the list. I'm still scratching my head about that. And number two, range is no longer the king, even for mouse and keyboard users. And that's for a lot of different weapons, not just hand cannons. SMGs, pulse rifles, all those weapon types, especially like SMGs, where we used to just load into range and disregarded the stability stats, you can no longer do that. Sure, it'll have a lot of reach, but as soon as you start taking gunfire, you're gonna notice the flinch, man, and you're gonna wish you had more stability. This role performed the best for me. Phenomenally good. And it is exactly why I love this hand cannon so much. Now, there is one other hand cannon out in the wild that is dropping right now that I actually think is gonna give it a very good run for its money, and that is, of course, D.F.A. And don't worry, guys, we have been playing with a few god rolls. I do want to talk about that one soon. It was one of my favorite hand cannons back in Destiny 1. So I know we don't have it on the item compare list, but again, saving that for the actual review. As far as the god roll for this weapon, I do think that Rangefinder, Eye of the Storm, is such a fantastic combo. You're tagging on 3.5 meters there at Rangefinder, and that helps tremendously. Even outside of that range, when you start to see damage fall off, the weapon is still making contact. And I liked it more than even opening shot. And by the way, this gameplay is riddled with controller gameplay too. Austringer is a phenomenal weapon for literally both inputs. But for PvE, I would look at things like Frenzy, Outlaw, and I know that's like really leaning into reload, but that's exactly what you're trying to do here. Maybe triple tap Rampage. You also have Demolitionist there. You can do Demolitionist, Outlaw as well. I think all those combinations are very, very good. Now, someone's gonna bring up Zen Moment. Cross, you just talked about stability and flinch resist. What about Zen Moment? Not only does Zen Moment increase the stability when you do damage with the weapon, but the enhanced version also improves the base stability stat. Again, Zen Moment, very, very good for my controller players. Still technically not a good trait for mouse and keyboard players. And I can't remember which podcast it was, but one of the devs, I want to say, mentioned that Zen Moment hardly affected mouse and keyboard players. Now, granted, maybe it does now. Maybe that, in combination with Eye of the Storm, could potentially be a good role for mid-range maps. If you can close the gap and you want to take advantage of that extra stability there, by all means, go right ahead. You'll be getting more flinch resist, and your weapon should be even steadier, thus resulting in your consecutive shots all being crits. I wish I could test more of this. Your boy ran out of materials, man. It's tough reviewing god rolls now, right? Like back in the day, we just had to review a god roll. Now you got to review all these rolls where you got to like open up a 401k, invest like tons of time and materials to just play with a single roll. Bungie, I wish you made weapon crafting cheaper. But I will say, guys, overall, Austringer is a top 3 hand cannon, and some would even say the #1 hand cannon in the kinetic slots. My last suggestion, if you so happen to have the prize ivory weapon ornament, apply it. That is a beautiful ornament, guys. Personally, I feel like for some reason I have a better time tracking targets with this ornament. Actually, I don't even know if you can get the ornament now, so I might just be baiting you guys. I apologize. But if you so happen to have had it unlocked, apply it. One of my favorites. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.